Hey guys, hope y'all had a great weekend. Looking here at my professional conference that I was researching here over the course of the last week. So the one I looked at was SITE. The professional organization that I looked at last week was the Association for Advancement of Computing and Education, which is ACE, which we see right here in the top left-hand corner. SITE is one of their conferences. It's kind of a subsidiary of that. And so SITE itself is known as the Friendly Society. The acronym SITE stands for the Society for Information Technology and Teacher Education. It's kind of one of the biggest conferences worldwide that ACE puts on. If we click on the website, we see that currently the one they're planning in 2020, they actually have one in November, but the current one they're going on in 2020 is going to be in New Orleans. And you can see the dates in front of you, April 6th to April 10th in 2020. It's going to be found at the Marriott Hotel downtown. People have a lot of accessibility to historic New Orleans and Canal Street and Bourbon Street and all these different types of things. SITE itself is known as the Friendly Society because it's meant to appeal to a large range of people. To participate in the conference, you really have no prerequisite. You can be a K-12 educator, you can be a professor, you can be an administrator at any one of those capacities, a curriculum developer, tech or ed company, or anybody else interested in the technology field. The biggest thing SITE is focused on is simply technology and education and increasing that over the course of time. Its cost is they put a big emphasis on being a member, whether it's of SITE, of ACE, whatever it may be, because if you're a member, it's $445. It's a bit pricey. Non-members though are $565. If you do a little bit of math there, basically it makes it worth your while to go ahead and increase membership, which would make sense what the company is trying to do. But they do have a big kick for K-12 educators. It's only $225. That seems to be their priority of emphasis, is trying to increase technology broad field, but specifically in that K-12 track, which then carries over into the collegiate ranks and professional ranks and things of that nature. As far as topics go, it's pretty open as long as it's something that's going to benefit technology and education. They want it to be engaging, they want it to be applicable, they want it to be valid. But you can present in a number of different ways. You can have standard PowerPoint. You can do it virtually if you're given pre-approval to do that. You can have standard lecture. You can have hands-on, kinetic style activities. But all these things have to be pre-approved. They do make sure that you have wireless internet and they allow access to computers so you don't have to bring your own, although a lot of people would rather use theirs. But they give you a lot of that. But if you do want to present, there's a process you have to go through, much like any other conference that you're going to go to. You have to submit a paper, and that paper itself is going to be at least double-blind reviewed. They want to see that multiple people are in agreement that this is something that's going to benefit the tech community, the educational community. And so it's going to be double blind, if not triple blind reviewed. And so if you're approved for that, it's something that you can feel really good about, because statistics state, at least from their website, that only about a quarter of proposals make it into the actual presentations. So there is quite of a prestigious honor that goes along with that, being able to present. As far as the presentation, what I would look at, or what I would propose, would be doing something using a GIS system. GIS systems themselves stand for Geographic Information Systems. We use them a lot in social studies at the high school level. It's something that we've put a big emphasis on at Hillgrove, which is where I teach. And I've seen a lot of benefit from it in my AP Human classes. We've got our world history and U.S. history teachers using them. So I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into what we do with it. First question is, what is GIS? GIS itself is a Geographic Information System. GPS is different. We all have GPSs in our cars, which tell us how to get from point A to point B. Typically a GPS is overlaid on a GIS, and as you can see on the right hand side here, basically it's making the map. If you can envision starting with a blank map and then you're adding layers onto it, that's the GIS system. You can make it as basic or as detailed as you like, but simply making the maps isn't what benefits student and the tech community as much. That's one aspect of it. but how you engage students is in different capacities. Why use it? Well, it's allowing students to make connections with places. This picture right here on the right-hand side may not look like real life applicability, and I'll give you some ideas of this in a second, but it does increase their use of technology with the platform. ArcGIS is an example of this that we use, but students love it. They get engaged in it because what they can do is start making their own maps. And it can be relevant to any social studies setting. At the high school level, we go in this fashion: geography, world history, U.S. history, econ, and then you've got elective courses in the midst of that as well. But to give you a couple of examples here, there's a lot of free and current resources in GIS that can even be used. GeoIncrease are one of those. So we use these in our class. If I click on this link, it's going to take me to a website. And what we see here, every one of these is what is known as a GeoIncrease. These are things that Esri puts out there, that they just put them out there for you to use. They have maps associated with them. And what you notice is they're applying standards. Every one of them is going to deal with population demographics, is what we talk about, boundaries and borders, countries' development, HDI. Every bit of this is stuff that's going to be on the AP exam, and it's a different way of looking at material. Now I'm going to show you kind of step by step what this looks like, but I want to show you three different ones because that's one example. But if we go to the world history icon to go one step deeper, this actually lays in, when you open up that link, what it looks like. If you're a world history teacher and you're wanting your students to start looking at early civilizations, this is the layover of the questions. They have predetermined questions. And if you actually want to go visit the map, they have a URL already embedded. So if I click on this map, it's going to take me to a pre-made GIS that students can go ahead and use. When you look at these, the biggest thing, we got an error there. There we go. The biggest thing is what you notice is we have 5 different boxes here. If I uncheck and check boxes, different things appear. This is your basic map, looks like nothing. But if I click on major rivers, all of your major rivers pop up. Then I overlay that with my early river valley civilizations and look where your earliest civilizations are and how that relates to the amount of rain and precipitation and the amount of land that would be taken in there. So you can do a lot of different things with GIS. If we go back though and we look at this U.S. history one, this is one that typically interests most people. This U.S. history map, if I click on the content, let's start taking all this off to begin with, where we have very little left on the map. And once again, we have a very basic map of the United States, and we want students to start understanding aspects about the Civil War. Well, one of the neatest things we can do is first, rivers. They want to have access to water. Here's your Civil War cities. Click on it. Civil War cities. But let's talk about the battles, major battles. We'll click this one first, and notice a timeline pops up. If I want to teach the Civil War, let's zoom in on this a little bit. And if you notice, we can sit here and slow down, or we can speed up and show the battles as they took place in front of us over the course of time. And all this is stuff that students can create on their own as well to help, whether it's the teacher teaching material or them to invest in it and make connections from it. These are all things that are available. And, we can look at the 1860 states and where they stood, and your Confederate states and your Union states and those in between and your territorial regions. There's just so much information that's on this map, and all of this is technologically related. It's going to engage students more than simply looking at a textbook. Last thing I'm going to show you is we've been using some of this to be able to present information as well. We've had students making maps. This is a map of Panama. That they picked a country, and you can see that's the gross national income. As you click on the information, different statistics pop up. I can take that off. Boundaries, you can see the different boundaries, but this is population growth rate. And so as you zoom in, you can see how many people on average are living there. But what students can do with that, they can create, what's in front of you was created by one of my students. Let me go to the home. They create presentations. This is Panama. All of this back here they can embed. But that map we were talking about, this is the one they made. And what you notice with these is they can move them around, do different things with them, and all of this is still like a Word document. So the idea of using GIS can become multifaceted. It can increase student engagement more than just making the map, but now what can they do with it? What can they learn from it? That in of itself has really increased our test scores at Hillgrove, It's made history kind of come alive, for lack of a better term. And it's something that the educational community really needs to continue investing in. Thank you all for listening. I hope that you have an awesome rest of your Sunday evening. Go Falcons. Maybe they can pull one out tonight. But I will see y'all later. Bye.